Good morning. What we're going to be doing today on our low buck build, we've already done the Trailmaster 4.5-inch lift kit. Ride's pretty good. Getting a little bit of bumps here. Part of that is because the track bar itself is worn. So my first upgrade to this kit is going to be to install the re1665 track bar and the re1665 track bar brace. You have to use the brace with this track bar. It will not mount to the stock location like the 1660 will, but it does put it in double shear, which means you get two sides of load as opposed to just the bolt coming off the side and it pulling on either side. And it also turns this joint into horizontal, which as this bar comes up and down is the way it's supposed to ride, as opposed to trying to flex on this joint. This one also comes with the Johnny joint style as opposed to the Heim joint. So this one's rebuildable. You can actually take it apart by taking that set screw out, pulling the cap off, taking the bushings out. It comes with a zert to grease it, so it is greasable. The nice part is, a couple years ago, RE upgraded this one to 1/2-inch hardware as opposed to used to be old 10mm hardware. But the one little twist in this, and they don't explain it in the instructions, is you got to have a 1/2-inch drill bit to drill out your lower track bar mount. You need to drill that hole to 1/2 inch to accept the new hardware. The bracket is already set up for the 1/2-inch bolt, so you only have to drill one hole, and you don't even have to drill it all the way through. You just have to finish drilling it, and that's again on the factory lower axle end mount. To start out with this, you take those two bolts off, or nuts, and they are captured on the backside. The bolts are on a plate, so you don't actually have to disconnect them or put a wrench on the backside or have a friend hold them. That one in the back can be a real pain to get to because a lot of times it interferes with the coil spring. But if you've got a short socket and an air impact with a swivel, you'll be golden, and those will come out pretty easy. The other two are in the factory bracket there, and you'll have to get a wrench on the top up there. One of the nice parts about going with a new bracket is you don't have to try on the, see, there's the end of the track bar. It's got a castle nut up on the top. Let's see if you can. Up in this pocket, there's a castle nut. And you have to try and disconnect the take the cotter pin out of the castle nut and line it up. When they're fairly clean, it's not terribly difficult. But then getting that joint to separate can be a real pain. Obviously, if you don't care, you just get in there with a pickle fork and beat the ever-living snot out of it. If you're trying to reuse it or save the track bar, or for some other reason you're taking it apart, yeah, it can be a little bit more challenging. Just getting in here to try and swing a hammer, so you can see there's not a whole lot of room. You can take the tire off and come in from this side. There's nothing in here really that you can swing at. So the nice part about the 1660 is with the new bracket, you don't even worry about separating the joint. You just take everything out together and deal with it later. As you can see, my track bar, see the shiny side? My track bar is moving around a bit, and that's what's causing some. So as you can see, that track bar's been moving around a bit. That's the shiny side's kind of polishing it. That's what's causing the death wobble. Also found I got a little bit of a coolant leak from it coming from my heater valve, diverter valve. That's the one little block in the line, so I'm going to have to replace that today. That'll be fun. So one of the tricks to getting that track bar bolt to line up properly is you turn the steering wheel, and at this position I'm going to have to turn it to the, I want to say the driver's side. If it's going the wrong way, you just try the other way. And use the steering lock to help keep it where it's supposed to be. Then do this with the engine off so you can kind of feel where it's going to line up. And you just turn the wheel, and then you'll see this. What I do is I loosen this one up first so it moves more freely. And then when I come down here and it comes out easily, it makes it a lot easier. Now you really don't have to worry about screwing up the threads on this, because if you're going to replace it anyways, it's no big deal. Like I was saying, in the instructions for the Trailmaster kit, they don't really address this, but you can, I know on RE kits they do. You can take this hole and move it over about 3/4 of an inch. Personally, this bracket is so thin for starters, I don't like drilling a bunch of holes in it, especially because it doesn't give you a whole lot of sheet metal in between the two. Sorry. Yeah, like I said, you can re-drill it. The adjustable track bar in the stock hole with an oversized hole, and that'll take the slop out of it, really is a better way to go. Long-term option. Anyways, I'll take a quick video and patch it together when we're all done, and you can walk you through it. Wish me luck. Okay, folks, so this is what we've got. This is the new RE track bar bracket installed. Like I said, 18 mils up top. They're caged, and those go into these top two holes. This is the bracket out. These bottom two holes, they have 18 mils from the bottom. The nuts on top are also caged to the frame rail. Unless, of course, somebody stripped them out or done something silly or replaced them. I mean, like I said, these vehicles are 20 some odd years old. Who knows what somebody's been doing here. I got lucky, mine were all bone stock original, which means you're going to reuse the OEM hardware. One of the problems is getting to this one here in the front with a socket can be a little bit of a challenge, because there's a shoulder. As you can see, this steps out, so it doesn't make it so you want to get a straight shot on the top of it. This one here in the back, you can get a pretty clean shot at. Let me see if I can get a quick look up in there. So yeah, that's what you're up against. This is some pretty heavy duty 1/2-inch hardware out here, grade 8. So I don't have any worries about this one snapping or causing any problems. Remember, the entire shear load and your steering, this is your pitman arm, is working against this push-pull situation to push the front of the axle and the tires back and forth. Don't forget to tighten your jam nut, 1 1/4 inch. These are 3/4 inch, and it does have a lock nut on the backside. I added a little red Loctite, just because I don't like them coming loose, and I don't see the need to adjust it. Except that, you know, I got to take it for a test drive and make sure everything's adjusted properly, make sure I don't get any bumps here. This is the hole again on here on the bottom. You had to drill out, replaces the factory OEM hardware with some substantially stronger stuff. As you can see, that's the bolt that comes out of it. The bolt that goes back into it is quite a bit larger. New bushings obviously tightens up this joint, because when you drill it out, obviously you're working against fresh metal. Putting the tab here in the back, the the nut zerd, or whatever it is that you want to call it, basically you don't have to put a wrench on it. Get it up in there and push the bolt back and spin the bolt by hand. That'll get it started, because you don't want to cross thread it. And then once it's started, then you pull the bolt back and lock it underneath, because there's a lip here. If it's hanging underneath, it'll feel like it's getting tight, but it's just bending that flange. So you need it to sit completely up in that pocket. Other than that, like I said, it's fairly straightforward, easy install. Like the instructions say, get this bolt in, don't tighten it all the way down. Then adjust this head, make sure your zert's on the bottom, and rotate it in and out to make sure you can get it to line up. If this bolt doesn't want to go through, don't try and force it. It just means your Johnny joint's out of alignment, and you need to take it and flex it to make sure you can get it into the proper alignment. But this puts it again in double shear and pivots in the correct direction, as opposed to the single pin, which is on the 1660, which can give you a little bit of flex. You know, this is going to be a nice strong mount. The 1670 I highly recommend. As you can see, there's 2 bolt holes back there, and they come across to the 2 bolt holes up here that should be in your factory XJ. And that brace goes under the pan and really tightens up this whole front end as far as the feel goes, because there's a lot of flex. Because the only thing that's holding this front end from flexing is, again, your motor mounts, and they're rubber. And then you come out here to your core support, and as I'm sure you can see, my core support is pretty well hammered from the front end incident that happened before I got the rig. So I definitely need that brace to tighten everything up. Anyways, thanks for watching. Pretty soon what we're going to do is I'm going to try and use the RE parts just for the lower bullet and convert these to disco sway bars. I don't know if that'll work or not, because I don't know if I'm going to have enough flex in the upper rubber bushings to get it to where it'll pull off the bullet. I kind of doubt that I'm gonna. So I might have to replace these whole links. And then we're going to do the brake lines, and I'll show you my trick with the brake lines and one-man brake bleeder setup that'll cost you, less than $2. Anyways, that's all we got for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk soon.